Odette to the stage.
Let's go.
My name is Claude Odette. I'm the founder and CEO of I Will Rise and You Will Too, an organization that is dedicated to helping people discover the best version of themselves. We want to help, and we help people go from where they are to where they ultimately want to be. That's what it's about. Social support and mutual aid, one person helping another makes both people stronger. This is one of my favorite sayings. People only do what they know until they learn something new. So if people only do what they know until they learn something new, and that's all I was consuming, my sister had already moved out of the house at 15 years old because it got too bad. Where do you think I went? Can you imagine, not even old enough to make every legal decision, and I was about to spend in prison as much time as I was alive. My mindset was gone. I couldn't be positive in a productive way if I wanted to. People only do what they know until they learn something new. The doors I was opening inside prison only compounded the problem. And no matter how much pain I was causing myself, every time I got out of lockdown, I went right back. People only do what they know until they learn something new. This will be the last picture that I show you looking like an idiot in prison. But see, I need you to see this. I need you to know, because I was one of those people that, oh, he can't get right. There's no hope. See, if I wouldn't have showed you these pictures, the level of success that I'm at today, people would have no clue. So I want people to stop looking at people and say, oh, they just can't get right. They're too far gone. They are not. People only do what they know until they learn something new. Not only did I escape out of 24-hour lockdown, I got out of the cell, I got out of the quad, I got out of the dorm, and I continued. I jumped off the roof, I hit the perimeter fence, I climbed into the perimeter fence, the razor wire got me, I climbed out, blood was pouring down my shirt, bleeding everywhere, the guns on me. They said, if you climb this fence, we will shoot. I said, shoot me! I ended up going to lockdown. I was in there for years. And I remember looking out the cell window, and I'd see people walking across the compound. I say, man, that's what I want to do. How do I do that? Because that's important. We got to be truthful with ourselves. I said, you're an idiot. That's why you ain't out there. I said, well, I want to be out there. What do I got to do? Right there, I didn't know this, but looking back, I was creating a vision. You hear all these powerhouse guys up here? They talk about a vision and they talk about goals. I said, I want to accomplish this, which is a vision. And I said, how do I do it? And that is a moral compass. That was the beginning of I Will Rise and You Will Too, the mindset. I started to put it in place, and I started to change. And I started to see the results of changing, of that vision, of that moral compass. I kept pushing in this direction. I started telling people, I'm like, hey bro, you can change. Because people only do what they know until they learn something new. I learned something new, and I was ready to talk about it. Woo! During the darkest days of my life, I became the best version of myself. And I started to share with other people, bro, even though you're down, this is your opportunity. I tell people now, man, I'm struggling. This is where it is. You plan it. But no matter if you change, no matter if you have your vision, and you bought red shoes, I don't know what I was thinking right there. But no matter if you have your vision and all that, this is the real deal. The statistics. I was a violent juvenile offender that was repeated offender. Statistically, it didn't matter. I was going back. And after 5 years, 71% go back. You know what that tells me? Everybody ain't stupid. Everybody ain't lazy. Everybody don't care. That's something internally wrong. I am proud to say that today, I Googled it this morning, I've been out of prison 5 years, 8 months, and 2 days. And then people kept saying, how? And I said, well, you got to create a vision. You got to have a moral compass. And what I quickly learned is that people getting out of prison, people getting out of rehabs, people going through a divorce, they're all struggling. They're trying to find themselves. They don't know what to do. So I said, well, I'm going to just document this journey because I'm going. And I'm going to blaze this path so that you could maybe have a reference point. And you can say, you know what? Oh, this is what he did. This is how he did it. Let me add to what I'm doing. This is at the top of my social media page. Documenting my journey about rising and helping others. You know why I lived in this school bus? Because I believe in sacrificing. I was working 60 hours a week, saving my money, because I had a vision. And people would laugh at me. They'd say, boy, you broke. You live in a bus. I just keep my head down and I kept grinding. See, there's another thing too. And in our organization, we teach how to use your traumas to help you become the best version of yourself. You see, one of my traumas was I went to prison. But when you have a vision, you can learn to use your traumas to help you get there. Now they become empowering. During the darkest days of my life, I became the best version of myself. So what is I Will Rise and You Will Too? That's the name of our organization. But what it is, it's a mindset. I believe that a mindset is everything. Because we could give a guy a job, we could give a girl, a woman a job, but if they don't have the right mindset, they're going to lose their temper, they're going to lose that great job, and then what do? They don't even know how to rebound. They don't know how to navigate. A mindset is a habitual or characteristic mental attitude that determines how you interpret and respond to situations. How do you interpret and respond to situations? Based off of your trauma. So with I Will Rise and You Will Too, we have 4 fundamentals. Our 4 fundamentals is in this workbook right here. We have a step-by-step guide on how to change your mindset. We have a step-by-step guide. The first fundamental is to be encompassed in gratitude. When you become encompassed in gratitude, it forces you to change. It does. I guarantee, if you struggle, bring gratitude to the forefront of your mind and you start looking at everything different. I had to do this in prison. The second fundamental is to be rooted in the understanding that life is challenging and that's okay. Life has been challenging since the beginning of time, and it ain't no different right now. But we think it's the end of the world if we get a flat tire. We think that we're not even supposed to struggle no more. It's crazy. And when you're rooted in something, just like that big tree, when it's rooted, it's able to weather those storms better. The third fundamental is faith without works is dead, and you must fall in love with the process. Amen? He who has faith but no works is dead. You could have the vision. You could have all that, but if you ain't willing to put in that work, it's just a picture on the wall. I am so grateful for my team. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. You see, I don't believe that I know best. That's one of my good traits. I don't believe that what I think is the best way. I brought in doctors, therapists, people with real lived experience. This is re-entry in action, role-playing the path to success. Now, this is things that I personally believe. I have friends that are in prison, they call me collect. I said, hey bro, what's going on in those re-entry programs? I said, are they role-playing? He's like, nah, bro. They're getting a signature. Teacher sits there, he puts somebody on a video, and that's it. The state gets a check, but then the guy goes out of prison, reoffends, comes back, and the check continues. We need them to create a vision and talk about the vision. Because what it does is it builds confidence in their decisions. You set goals, we all know goals, measurable goals. Make sure they're setting the goals. Talk about those measurable goals. This isn't about my speech no more, I'm just giving you tips on how to help these guys. I've seen more success than I could ever imagine. And I use this every day with my everyday decision. The next one is a moral compass. I'm going to tell you a moral compass so powerful. Oh my gosh. A moral compass has made me walk away from friendships. A moral compass has made me go back and apologize to my lady, even though I think and know she's wrong. Because I said, what kind of man do I want to be? This is my moral compass. I don't need to prove my point. That ain't what type of man I want to be. This ain't what type of friends I want to have. Mantras are so powerful. You know, I will rise and you will too is a mantra. It reminds me that when I see success, I make sure I come back to places like this and I share how I did it. I will rise and you will too. Not I will rise and I'm gone. I want to help. Another one of my mantras that formulated through some of the hardest times since I've been out of prison was called keep working, keep walking, keep working. I'm telling you, I was going through some rough times since I've been out, and all I kept saying was keep walking, keep working. Things are going good, keep walking, keep working. Things are going bad, keep walking, keep working. Now, mantras we could also use to hurt us. Well, if it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have no luck. People literally self-sabotage themselves. I can't find good friends. I can't, and it's important because these are the dialogues that are going on when you're not talking. People a lot of times look at sacrifices as some permanent thing. You got to be able to sacrifice. This is what I learned in prison. I was in maximum security, so a lot of people had life sentences. Hope is powerful. You know, in prison, they don't even talk about social media. As an ex-felon, social media is probably one of the best resources that you could ever have. You have access to a community that can literally lift you up, that will lift you up. Like, I don't understand how we're not teaching them social media etiquette, how powerful it is. I can make a post and get 10 million views, opportunities out of this world. And we just completely neglect, that's not even important. That's crazy. That is crazy. Social media is where it's at. I'm telling you, we got to be able to evolve. We're using same systems, trying to get different changes.
Speech, sir. Thank you very much for being here. One of my employees said that, and it's a lot of what I thought I heard you say. Basically, we had a fellow that was struggling, and we were trying to help him, trying to do everything we could. And he said, "Man, at the end of the day, you got to be sick and tired of being sick and tired." And I asked him, as an employer, as a friend, what can we do to make him feel supported? He said, "You can do all that, and it's nice, but he's got to make the decision." What do you think on that? Is it solely up to the individual? What can other people do to make that decision come easier or whatever? What can we do to help folks?
They're not thinking big enough, right, to motivate them to be excited about life, and that's not money. That could be whatever it is. But when you have hope, this is what I learned in prison. I was in maximum security, so a lot of people had life sentences. Hope is powerful. You got to give them something to hope for, something to be excited about. And nobody probably said, "Hey, what's your dream? What do you want to do?" No, really, let's talk about it. A lot of people don't have access to a different mindset. And you're not going to be able to change their mind in a quick thing. It's a process that they have to go through. You got to, faith without works is dead. You got to fall in love with the process. So what you could do is create a process for them to fall in love with and allow them to be exposed to more. One thing about I will rise and you will too, let me share. I like this. We meet people where they're at. We don't try to say, this is the way you should be. You meet them right where they're at, and you start their journey. And from that journey, you give them a step-by-step guide. At the end of our workbook, we have bridges, and you might have your financial bridge already built, but you don't have your mental or emotional bridge. Focus on the bridge that you need to build. But a lot of people don't even know where they're at. They don't know their strengths and weaknesses. They don't know how to cultivate a mindset. They don't know mantras are a part of their mindset. They don't know gratitude is a part of their mindset. It doesn't mean it's easy. Life is hard. I am rooted in the understanding that life is challenging and that's okay. This success, this joy, you got to work to be happy. You don't get to wake up and be happy. You got to work for it.